point what's individual for you, then you definitely need a nutritionist or a dietitian for that, right? But we're going to talk today about hormones. And I'm so glad David showed up because he's the only guy in the room who understands that hormones affect men just as much as they do women. Every hormone that men have, women have. And every hormone that women have, men have also. We have different amounts in certain areas, right? But we have the same hormones. So, it's complicated, isn't it? All right, we're just going to learn the basic function of hormones in the body. We're going to understand how the environment and daily choices play a role in our hormone function. And we're going to think about ways we can remove hormone disruptors in our daily life. Okay? Pretty simple, right? That part's simple. Hormones are not simple. Okay. So what are hormones? They're messengers, right? They're messengers that go from cell to cell and tell our bodies how to function, how our heart rate's going to be, how our electrolyte balance is going to be, you know, our female and male hormones, what those are going to do, and all of the things for growth and development and maintaining weight and energy. That is what our hormones are designed to do. And we have exactly what we need when we need it, in the amount that we need it, and they're a very fine balance. And anything that throws that off is going to throw us off in our function, in our energy, and how we perceive things and how we live life. Okay? Bear with me. So the controls. Let's see. Oh, Lordy. The master hormone is, see, I'm going too fast here. I should have practiced with the clicker, guys. All right, our hypothalamus. That's the control center of our hormones to maintain weight and energy. Quit giggling. I think I'm just going to use the arrow.
I think that's the leg.
I totally agree. Thank you for that.
Oh, Lord.
You're Susie,
The clicker.
Yay! I don't know why there's a delay, guys. Sorry. No, that's not communicating either. Okay. The control center of our hormones to maintain weight and energy and our reproductive function all center in the hypothalamus, centered right here in our brain. It communicates with the thyroid and the thymus and the adrenal glands and the pancreas, the beta cells in the pancreas and the ovaries and the testes to keep our bodies functioning the way we need to function. Does everybody hear me back there? Okay. That's so much easier to use the arrow. Now we're rolling. All right, master hormone is our pituitary gland. It is in control of all the things for reproductive purposes, okay, and feeding a baby once it gets here. It is also going to send stress hormones and thyroid stimulating hormones and growth and development, and also vasopressin, which constricts and holds on to water. So you'll see that come to play. People will have pituitary problems. They'll have problems with their testosterone levels. You know, they'll have problem with reproductive health. So that's what we're looking at with that. Our thyroid hormone, how many have thyroid issues? Big deal, isn't it? Big deal because thyroid is affected for so many reasons. It's affected our energy. It affects our weight. It affects how we feel about, you know, getting up and moving. And so what we need to understand is that it's also important for bone growth and development, heart health, the baby, if a baby is developing, for its teeth, its skin, its hair, depends on that thyroid hormone that the mom is giving to it. And our nervous system development, it generates heat in the body. It stimulates calcitonin to maintain our bones and it stimulates gut motility. So you can see thyroid plays a huge role in helping us function better. And the big thing to remember is the T4 converts to T3. That's the active form of thyroid hormone. And so the things that can interfere with that T4 to T3 conversion are things like lifestyle, environmental factors, and any type of nutrient deficiency that can keep that from converting properly to T3. Because T3 is the receptors on the cells is what T3 wants in them to function. Does that make sense? Okay. So, how do we keep our thyroid happy? We want to definitely get to the root of Hashimoto's thyroiditis if that is an issue. It's an autoimmune condition that attacks the thyroid. And what I've got friends that have it. I have several family members that have this. And what they have found is that gluten is a very big promoter of their autoimmune disorder. And when my really good friend got her, it's called TPO antibodies. That's a test you can get run to see if you have thyroid antibodies. So she got that test done. Hers was through the roof. And then she was a natural, kind of a naturalist type person who made the decision to cut gluten completely out of her diet. That didn't mean go buy gluten-free this, gluten-free that on the shelf with a bunch of preservatives and additives and all that stuff in it. That's not what she did. She completely went whole food and got rid of the gluten. And her TPO antibodies that were attacking her body went down to almost zero. So, does she still need thyroid medication? Absolutely, yes. But she made a huge difference in what was attacking her thyroid. And so I have a niece who had her thyroid removed at age 17. She kept having her glands filling with fluid and she couldn't swallow. Who wants their thyroid removed at 17 years old? Hashimoto's thyroiditis is what she had. And, you know, she could have removed some things and maybe made that situation better. I don't know. But that was my thought, you know, trying to work with her through that. So now she's dependent on medication for the rest of her life because of that condition. Now, she's still eating that gluten. So what do you think's happening? Did the autoimmune disease go away just because she had her thyroid removed?
No.
No, it's affecting her joints at 21 years old. She has rheumatoid arthritis at 20 years old. So do you see how if we could just figure out what is making our hormones off balance, maybe we could do something to help our situation. Does that make sense? Okay, iodine. Sufficient and natural iodine. I wouldn't suggest anyone get an iodine supplement for their thyroid. Nope, never suggest that. You want continuous micro doses in the food that you eat. That's where we get our iodine. And we should, in the American society, get plenty of iodine, okay? We want selenium in nuts and seeds to help our thyroid function well. We want to remove environmental factors that deplete these thyroid hormones, and those are consisting of pesticides on our food and in our water supply. It is cosmetics and sunscreens that have chemicals in them that keep the sun off of us, but that are affecting the fertility and the reproductive organs of young children. And so we're spraying these things on these children repeatedly. And it's not that one exposure is going to bother these children, but if you have repeated exposures to these chemicals, it can affect their reproductive health. And we don't want that, do we? We don't want that. We just want to be aware. How do we as consumers get this stuff out of our products? We make our voices heard, right? We want to get together and say, hey, this is not allowed in our food, in our cosmetics, in our sunscreens, and in the things that we're slathering on our body. Our skin is our largest organ. Do I really want all those chemicals slathered on my skin and my children's skin, right? So just thinking about environmental factors that will affect thyroid health. heavy metals, cadmium and lead. High doses of green tea can even affect T4 to T3 conversion. So you have these people that will give up soda and they'll go buy the green tea because green tea is good for you, right? So if they have that soda addiction and they're drinking 4 or 5 sodas a day and they turn around and drink 4 or 5 green teas a day, that could be harmful, right? Okay, just understanding everything in moderation, but definitely thinking about consequences.
So like, green tea in the morning is not,
No.
Because I have a friend, I mean, that's what she.
Every day green tea,
Every morning, that's
that's
what she has.
totally fine. Is she drinking 10 a day? No.
No,
You know what I'm saying? We Americans do everything in extremes.
yeah.
We do, but she's not. She's drinking her green tea each day. That's not an issue. Very good point.
Misty,
Yes, ma'am.
can you give them some examples of where you get your iodine from and the seeds and nuts that you can eat for that?
Seafood, definitely your seafood is going to have iodine in it. Your algae, you know, you can have those little dried algae you can eat that has iodine in it. Your iodized salt has iodine in it. Your nuts and seeds, the highest amount of selenium is in your Brazil nuts. Those are really good sources. Your sunflower seeds are good sources. So just getting that selenium, great point. Then we're moving to insulin. Insulin is necessary for us to survive. It is a key transporter of energy. It is secreted in proportion to our fat cells. It suppresses our appetite, and it resists and helps. Insulin resistance prevents weight loss. That's important to understand. So just getting that whole system under control makes a big difference. You know, type 1 diabetics, they have their beta cells attacked by some type of virus and they cannot produce insulin. Completely different than type 2 diabetes, which has occurs over time with excess sugar consumption and the excess refined white carbs and that sort of thing. Okay? Big difference. Adrenals, our adrenals help with produce cortisol. And cortisol plays that role in inflammation, blood sugar control, heart function, salt and water balance, and memory formation. They play a small role in producing sex hormones too, but it's a very small, and it mostly after menopause or andropause if you're a man. So what we need to understand about cortisol, it's our stress response, right? It's our fight or flight. So when we feel danger, we're going to have more norepinephrine, more epinephrine, more energy to do what? Run from the danger, right? But what do? We run to the refrigerator, don't we? We do. And so cortisol is designed to increase your blood sugar. It increases your blood sugar so you can flee danger, not flee to the refrigerator, okay? So when we have that cortisol spike and we have a glucose spike, when we go to the refrigerator to get rid of the stress or to eat the box of cookies or the pint of ice cream to get the stress down, we're adding to that sugar load, okay? So if we have chronic stress over time, what do we have? What do we have?
High cortisol.
We have chronic high glucose, chronic high behavior patterns that help us deal with stress, right? So we want to definitely learn ways to bring the cortisol down and bring the stress level down with what? Breathing techniques, massage therapy, really good support systems, really good whole food, really good exercise. You're absolutely right. She is right. You know, you can get so much, you feel so good after a good walk, or the ladies that come here and work with Lisa, you feel better, don't you? You just feel better. So just getting that helps you reduce your stress, okay? That makes happy hormones, right? Oh, here I go again. All right, now we're talking about our fat-producing hormones. Did you know that your fat cells are an organ? contributing to our hormone and endocrine system. Yes, our fat cells produce hormones to communicate with the rest of the body. So if we have a leptin, that turns off our hunger and creates feelings of fullness. All of you are nice and full right now, and you're not allowed to go to sleep, okay? So you're nice and full. You have your leptin in place. It's saying, hey, brain, I've had a good meal. I'm feeling really good. But it's also related to fertility and immunity and brain function and the way we store our fat, okay? Then we have adiponectin, also produced by our fat cells, helps regulate our blood sugar. It helps metabolize fats and carbs. It helps insulin sensitivity. What does that mean? It means that if the insulin's circulating in the blood, the muscles are going to be open and receive that insulin and put it in this cell for use. If we have insulin resistance, those cells are blocked off. What's another way to open those cells? Exercise. We want to open those cells to get that insulin inside, okay? Adiponectin helps reduce insulin resistance. It helps reduce inflammation, and it secretes cytokines that are very important for fighting infection, okay? Oh, and here's the fun one. Estrogen. Now, David, don't feel left out because estrogen is important for men too, just not in the amount that women need. And testosterone is important for women, just not in the amount that David needs, okay? Is that clear? We all have the same hormones. Men need estrogen for their blood vascular support, for their muscles, and for their bones, just like women do. They just don't need as much, okay? And it gets complicated, and we're going to talk about how complicated it gets, because I know you ladies know how complicated this subject is, okay? Estrogen, we know about puberty. We know that when we became young girls and hit puberty, we got fat in all the right places, right? That's what we're designed to do. We're designed to widen our hips and develop breasts in order to feed a child and give birth to a child. We want those hips nice and wide and fat where it needs to be, okay? And what happens after menopause? All the fat gets redistributed. And we don't need our breasts and our hips anymore. Daggone it, it wants to go right here. That's no fun at all, is it?
No.
No. Takes a lot of work to keep it off too, doesn't it, Susie? She wouldn't know. So, it helps regulate our menstrual cycle. We know that. We know that it maintains pregnancy and lactation, and we know that it helps with libido. And we know that low estrogen increases our appetite. How many of you experienced that? I'm glad I'm the only one. Oh, 2, 3.
There's 3 of us.
And plus we have decreased energy. So you can see how it works against us and for us. Now, estrogen is extremely important to maintain our bones, okay? It's extremely essential for growth and repair of our cells. It is imperative for heart health. It improves our sleep. It helps with collagen production. We lose our collagen and our elastin when we lose our estrogen. We get more wrinkles, our skin gets very thin. We are prone to tearing easily, okay? And that happens in our private areas too. That area becomes very thin, very prone to tearing, and vaginal atrophy happens, and urinary incontinence, and pelvic floor weakening. All these things that women have to go through when they lose their estrogen, okay? So they're more susceptible to urinary tract infections after menopause because we lose that protective estrogen and that vaginal atrophy occurs. Does that make sense? So it's important. It helps reduce inflammation. It supports the immune system. It helps heal nerve cells. It boosts metabolism and energy and focus, and it increases learning. Okay? Important hormone.
Don't touch it.
All right. I'm gonna try to make this fun because this can be where you guys go to sleep after a good lunch. Okay? Are you ready? We'll see how it goes. Now, there's 3 types of estrogen. And I highlighted E1, estrone, E2, estradiol, di means 2, E3, estriol. Okay? So we have the 3. We have receptors for these hormones. We have alpha receptors that promote growth. We have beta receptors that slow growth. Okay? So what's happening when we are young and we have all of our estrogen? We have all 3 of these in equal amounts if we're eating healthy, if we don't have environmental factors affecting our estrogen, if we're not on birth control pills, which really affects huge spikes of estrogen, which is taken orally, passes through the liver, increases a woman's risk of blood clots, right? We know that about birth control. So what happens is, in E1, we have high amounts that stimulate breast and uterine tissue. It is made by the ovaries and the adrenal glands and the fat cells. When the ovaries shrink up, then your adrenals and your fat cells store more of this, okay? E2 is the strongest form of estrogen, and it maintains estrogen it's the main estrogen before menopause. And high levels of this are associated with breast cancer, okay? E3 is your estriol. It's least potent of the estrogens, and it does not promote breast cancer, and it selectively stimulates alpha receptors, okay? So, what you need to understand is, once we go through menopause, we lose the ovaries' production of the estradiol, right? So, let's say we're going down the road and estrone wants to take the curves, and estradiol is like, no, you want to go fast on the highway. You don't want to go fast down the curvy roads, okay? I'm taking out mailboxes, I'm taking out the ledger box, and estradiol's in the back seat going, slow down, slow down. And it's not, because it doesn't have the hormone protection of the estradiol anymore to slow it down. Does that make sense a little bit? It was a bad analogy, I know, but it would help you stay awake, right? All right, now, 2/3 of postmenopausal women will continue to make E2, our protective estradiol. 2/3. 1/3 of us won't, but 2/3 will. So that is, and the more fat cells we have, the more it's stored and the more it makes. So if you're a little on the chunky side to begin with, you're gonna have a better estrogen protection for a few years after your menopause, okay? It's when you don't have that is when, you know, you start feeling the difference. What do you feel? You feel brain fog. This can start in perimenopause. So what happens in perimenopause is that your ovaries are saying, we're winding down here, we're kind of done, and we don't need all of this hormone anymore. But your brain doesn't know that. Your ovaries do, but your brain doesn't. And so your brain's saying, let's produce more. They'll use follicle stimulating hormone to say, produce more, produce more, produce more eggs, right? So you have that spiking, you're not producing the eggs, and then you'll have these bursts of estrogen. So when women are in that perimenopause state, how many of you have a daughter or a sister or somebody in that state? I have a couple of daughters getting ready to head there. But you think about what they're experiencing, and when you look back at when you went through perimenopause 10 years before the full menopause, you had irritability, you had brain fog, you had these mood swings that you just couldn't explain, you know? And what happens is is that that girl, that young woman, will go to the doctor with these perimenopause symptoms, and the doctor will do what? Put them on an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety, when what it is her hormones are all out of whack. It breaks my heart for these women, okay? We can do better. We really can. So just knowing, and I don't really want you to, if you're interested, educate yourselves. I mean, I've been reading and reading and reading. This one is Hormone Havoc, addresses men and women hormones. It is dispelling the myths and misconceptions about hormones in men and women. This one is Mary Claire Haver, The New Menopause. She comes out, all of these ladies come out and reveal from the Women's Health Initiative. Think back, 2002, the Women's Health Initiative came out. They said that hormone replacement causes increased breast cancer risk and increased cardiovascular disease. And women took their Premarin, which was primarily prescribed, and they flushed them down the toilet. And they said, forget it, I'm not taking that risk. I was working a cardiac floor. My mom was going through menopause. I said, don't do it, Mom, don't do it. I had no idea. Dr. Wilson was looking at her like, who is she? He'd been prescribing it for years. He knew that his patients were doing well with that estrogen replacement. He knew they weren't having as many fractures. He knew they weren't falling. He knew they weren't having heart disease. He understood because he'd been practicing it and giving it to his patients. So he saw the benefit. And everybody knew there was a benefit, but they couldn't just pinpoint with a clinical trial how important it was for women to receive the estrogen replacement and the progesterone too. Don't forget that one. So here's what happened. They get 80,000 women in the Women's Health Initiative. They start studying them, and then they stop the study early because one arm of the study had increased 69% increase in breast cancer and increase in heart disease. But guess what arm of that study it was? It wasn't just with estradiol. Those women did great. It was a synthetic progestin they had put with the estradiol, okay? That's important to understand, is that synthetic progestin is what increased that breast cancer risk, okay? So just understanding there's new studies, there's a new review. It happened a few years ago to review that study and let women know, yes, it's safe. If you're getting estriol, in Europe, they use estriol to protect women from breast cancer, okay? It's different. It's different there. They have more data, okay? So don't be afraid. I'm not telling you to go get on estrogen replacement. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that it's a discussion to have with your doctor and get really informed about it so that you know what to do when you go in there. Because and here's another thing, I don't know if it's on the next slide. Yeah, so we'll talk about progesterone in a minute. But the conversation that you want to have is a nuanced conversation. And it's learning more about it and getting yourselves educated about it if you want to have that conversation. The other thing that I will say is that when you're looking at the 3 estrogens, our diet and our lifestyle play a huge role in those, postmenopausally and premenopausally. So I don't know how many nurses that had breast cancer and will still drink their alcohol and take their hormone blocker. When, if anybody's had breast cancer, that's the #1 thing you want out of your diet is alcohol, because that's gonna antagonize your estrogen receptors a whole lot more than a hormone blocker will. Plus you have side effects from hormone blockers, right? Every pill has a side effect. So just getting that in our heads, yes, women drinking 1 alcoholic beverage a day is safe. Not if they've had breast cancer, it's not. And you can look at that up at the American Cancer Society, okay? Just be knowledgeable about our behavior and how we're doing things. Progesterone. Progesterone is made in the ovaries until menopause, and it works with estrogen to maintain hormone balance in the body. Its benefits and functions are well known and broad and wide. They're going to help us get rid of excess water. They're going to help with inflammation. They're going to balance estrogen. Progesterone helps maintain pregnancy. It builds bone. It increases our metabolic rate. It increases scalp hair. It lowers LDL cholesterol, protects our breasts, relaxes smooth muscle, and helps us sleep. How many people go through menopause and lose their progesterone and then they can't sleep? You know, they have increased anxiety and they can't sleep because they don't have their progesterone. One of the doctors that I follow, I listen to her podcast frequently, she was talking about a young woman came into the ER with her mentor. Her mentor was an ER doctor. And this young woman had given birth 6 weeks prior to coming into the ER. Looked like a perfect model of health. Walked in the ER, had a nice dress outfit on, had her hair all done, had her makeup done. He walks in, he says, "What are you doing here?" She said, "I want to kill myself and I want to kill my baby." You know what he did? He gave her IV progesterone. And she asked him 2 hours later, she said, "What did you give me?" He said, "Progesterone." And she said, "It changed my life." Like completely within hours, changed how she felt about herself and her life. So just think about that. You have to have high levels of progesterone to maintain a pregnancy for 9 months. As we get through that pregnancy, it's going to continue. And then we have that baby. And that progesterone just drops. How many women with irritability and issues are going through perimenopause and have those progesterone drops? Okay? Just knowing your levels is a smart thing to do. You know? Knowing a doctor who can check them for you. Okay? Not trying to scare you, just trying to educate. So low progesterone, anxiety, decreased HDL, decreased libido. How many women get divorced after menopause? They dry up, nothing's fun, and then they blend back up. Wow. Am I lying or am I kidding? Y'all laugh because you know it's true. Get away from me, please, right? Yes, that happens. It also can have excessive menstruation. Again, perimenopausal women, they go have a hysterectomy when all they need is progesterone. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. Now, there's other environmental factors going on too that cause excessive bleeding. But getting those things, knowing and understanding that is really important. The insomnia happens, the weight gain, the irritability, and the mood swings are all from low progesterone, okay? And then we have testosterone. We don't think about it. Women, it's not FDA approved for women to be, it's not considered part of hormone replacement therapy according to the FDA. Men, yes, men go through andropause the same as women go through menopause. Environmental factors are affecting their testosterone levels the same as it does ours. But just like men, it maintains our muscle mass. It helps with our libido. It helps with fat and memory cognition. It's vital for our heart health. Men and women have testosterone receptors inside their blood vessels. So when their testosterone levels are low, they're more susceptible for heart attacks. Now, the weird thing is for men, the range is like 200 to 900. That's crazy, right? I mean, you can be normal at 200, but if you feel like crap and you have no energy and your muscles are wasting, that's not the level for you, right? Same with women. A normal testosterone level for women can be 20 to 60, but if that's optimal. If you look at the levels on a lab value, 2 is the low end. But you can be dog tired, no muscle tone, no energy to do anything. Definitely no libido. Okay, nothing's happening, no fun's happening there. So just thinking about testosterone, yes, we need tiny, small amounts compared to men, but it is an important hormone. And then we have hormone disruptors. What are they? Am I taking too long? Y'all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Chemicals that interfere with our hormone system. Endocrine just means our hormones. And it's responsible for regulating these bodily functions. They can mimic our hormones. They can block our hormones. They can overstimulate the receptors. And they can create imbalances. Okay? They are found in our water, in our food, in our products that we are putting on our bodies. Okay? Make sense? So when you think about hormone disruptors, it's the chemicals in our plastic, it's the phthalates, it's the dioxins. Atrazine is sprayed on cornfields and soybean fields, and it runs in our water. You know, they're spraying it within 10 feet of a school, and that's okay with the FDA and the EPA. Although, how many farmers are getting lymphoma from spraying their Roundup? Quite a few. Just look at a farmer that you know. See. The bisphenol and the triclosan. So these are all hormone disruptors that interrupt that balance, okay? That's what we need to understand, is where are we exposing ourselves and our children to these chemicals that are interfering with our hormone production and our hormone receptors. So I always tell my clients, please get some kind of water filter. I like the reverse osmosis. It takes everything out. Our water plant does its best, guys, to get the stuff out of our water, but it can't get all the chemo out, all the hormones that are dumped in the water. You know, the fish are changing. You know, there's a lot going on with water. If we could just start there and do, you know, cleaner water, that would be a big start. So when you think about those hormone disruptors, the body's normal endocrine function is just very small changes can disrupt it, okay? The pesticides in our food, the flavorings, the additives, the colorings, all in our food are affecting our hormone balance, okay? So what can we do? We talked about a few things we could do, right? We want zinc's role in hormone balance. It's essential for reproduction, cell growth and division, DNA replication, endocrine and immune system function, sperm production, ovulation, fertilization, fetal development, and glucose metabolism. And zinc is really important for keeping us healthy. Fiber. We know that fiber binds to waste products and gets them out of our colon, gets them out of our body, so that when our HDL is going through, it's not going to go grab that waste product and take it back to the liver and say, hey, I still have this cholesterol, let's get rid of it. No, the fiber binds to it and gets it out, okay? It's important for that. It helps you feel full longer. It helps control your blood sugar levels. Why? Because it takes longer to digest fiber. You don't even digest fiber, your gut microbiota digests fiber. They love it. That's their food. And they will slowly raise blood and level off blood sugar levels when we have plenty of fiber in our meals. And Americans are notorious for not getting enough fiber in their food, which is why we are never satisfied and we eat too much, maybe. Part of it, not all of it. Maintains our colon health. Works like little scrubbers to get that colon nice and healthy, okay? It aids in weight control and it lowers cholesterol. So fiber is our friend when it comes to hormone balance, okay? Then we have high fiber choices. Any of your vegetables. Those are your higher ones, but all your vegetables work for that. Wait. So what are some ways to make our hormones a little happier? Like I said, I'm an RA wellness coach, not a dietitian. I tell my clients one thing about food advice. Eat whole food, get rid of ultra-processed food. That's my only dietary advice. Eat whole food, okay? That makes a world of difference. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, nuts, seeds, fish, all of the good things. All the things that were designed to keep us healthy, keep us happy, and keep us well. To help our body repair and restore itself, okay? We want to limit these ultra-processed foods. If it's got more than 3 ingredients in it and you can't pronounce it on the package, it's not for you. It's for the manufacturer trying to keep that to make money off of you. That's who it's for. It's to keep the product on the shelf longer, not your shelf life. If you look up in PubMed, if you type in Western diet and disease, you're going to have over 800 articles about how the Western diet contributes to disease. Okay? What is it contributing? It's too much fat, salt, and sugar. Those are the 3 things that are in the Western diet that cause disease. Plus the preservatives, additives, flavorings, and things that are banned in your country. Yeah. Personal care products, we touched on it with the sunscreen. Parabens, BPAs, phthalates, all the things that are in our, slathered onto our largest organ, right? Just be aware. Yucca app. Who has the Yucca app? 1? Okay. 4. Yucca app is a free app from Google that is a white square with an orange carrot. You can scan anything in the grocery store except for things like supplements. But your personal care products, you can scan with the Yucca app and it will give you a rating of 0 to 100. All your food, you can scan with the Yucca app. It'll give you a rating from 0 to 100. Anything above 50 is considered good. Anything above 80 is excellent, okay? Anything below that is very poor. Now, say we scan butternut bread. Has 7 hazardous chemicals that affect the immune system, the endocrine system, the heart, the kidneys, all that, okay? That's 6 additives in something that we're feeding our children every single day. So do you see why there's so many problems with autoimmune and things going on in our environment? Because what's in our food is not doing what it's supposed to do, okay? If you think about bread, actually, what they're doing is they're taking away the bran and the germ, and they're using the starch, and they're putting in 5 synthetic vitamins. And when it had like 20 to 30 vitamins and minerals that help us function and stay functioning, okay? So just be aware of the chemicals. I always suggest filter the water. I always use a glass bottle or my Yeti thingy with metal and assess our cookware. Our cookware, it has chemicals in it too. You know, your safest is your stainless steel, your glass, your cast iron, your stoneware pans. Those are safe to use. Anything with Teflon has got forever chemicals in it that are going to be hormone disruptors. Just being aware of that. As we scratch that Teflon pan and open that up, we're exposed to more of those chemicals. So just understanding where it is. So you can do this. And my job as an RN wellness coach is twofold. It's to empower you with knowledge and to give you tools and skills to help you make lasting behavior change, okay? So that's my goal, is to help people do that for life. Wait. So my approach is a life approach. I look at lifestyle, I look at intake, I look at frame of mind, and I look at exercise. So when you think about lifestyle, intake, frame of mind, and exercise, those are all pillars of health. So under lifestyle, we want to look at sleep, stress, relationships, work life, home life, spiritual life, our joy, our peace. Where are we in our lifestyle? On a scale of 1 to 5, very dissatisfied at 1 or very satisfied at 5. We want to look at intake. What kind of water are we drinking? How many vegetables are we eating a day? How much fruit are we eating a day? Grains, protein, carbs, chemicals. How many chemicals are we exposed to? How many pesticides, flavorings, and colorings? Intake is so much more than what we're eating and drinking, right? Fixed mindset or frame of mind. Do I have a fixed mindset? Am I stuck and can't get out of where I am? Or do I have a growth mindset? I can do this. I think I'll remember that. I think I'm going to do that. I think I can do that. Okay? Uncertainty and fear of failure are always in the fixed mindset. Oh, what if? Oh, that all sounds good, but I'm too old. You know what I'm saying? You're not too old to do anything. You're still here. You're here. You're laughing. Your frame of mind says it all. We want to build confidence and self-worth, and there are going to be spiritual battles. Because every time I help somebody, they'll go back and they'll say, oh, this happened, right? We have spiritual battles. Because the devil wants you to think you're not worthy, okay? And he's a liar, just so you know. He's a liar. Self-talk. How do you talk to yourself? And then we have exercise. We all know we have to keep moving. We have to keep these bones and muscles strong, okay? Yes, 2/3 of the women in this room are going to continue to produce the estrogens that they need to stay healthy. But they know they have to work at it, right? We have to keep exercising. We have to keep trying to eat healthier and getting our sleep at night, okay? So, that's my approach, if anybody wanted to know. That is my Facebook page. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I put tips like that on there every week. So you can follow me on Facebook.